Hello and welcome to The Point of Everything. Today on the show is Dublin producer Rory Sweeney, who released his second album Old Earth on October 24th. Written between Dublin, Manchester, Letterkenny and Sligo, the album is inspired by stone tape theory, which posits that ghosts, hauntings and supernatural phenomena are the result of events being imprinted into the land. He says Old Earth is a reflection on disappearing time and memory in the information age while trying to reckon with history and the esoteric. The album features a whole cast of exciting names in music at the moment: RÓIS, Saoirse Miller, Risteárd Ó, Emby, Beattie, Curtisy, Ahmed With Love, Roo Honeychild and the Ennis-based rapper Ushmush, among others. You can buy the album and see a full list of credits at rory2.bandcamp.com. There you'll also find his Irish Hash Mafia Mixtape, which we talk about at the start of the chat, and he also worked with the aforementioned rapper Curtisy, who was on TPOE 348 earlier this year, on his debut album What Was the Question, which was nominated for the Choice Prize earlier this year. Rory Sweeney is a busy guy, as you'll hear pretty quickly from our chat if you haven't already guessed from this intro. He's currently on tour at the moment in support of Old Earth. He's at the Button Factory in Dublin tonight, Wednesday, October 29th. So act fast on that, even though I think it's sold out. So hopefully you have already acted quickly. And he's in Plugged Records in Cork tomorrow, October 30th. Here's Rory Sweeney on The Point of Everything. I saw you all together now over the summer. You did the Irish Hash Mafia takeover of the Last City stage, which was wild when I was there. I didn't get to see all of it, but when I did, when we were leaving, it was like 30 people deep to get into the place. You played with the likes of Emby, Lil Skag, Ahmed With Love, who you've played with over the years. Tell me about that event, which seemed, I don't know, did it seem like an important thing, kind of maybe the culmination of something for you guys?
Yeah, it was so weird. I mean, I actually thought it was going to go really badly between, like, to be real with you. We were playing at a stage that I think maybe a lot of people didn't know about, and like we were playing pretty early in the day, and I was like, yeah, I guess we should do this, and I felt really guilty because there was loads of us, so we were getting paid like loads and stuff. But fuck, it was like, yeah, it was amazing. It really felt so special. Emby was on first, and like his music's pretty out there and avant-garde. I think his music will really stand the test of time, actually. But anyway, his music's really out there, and like about halfway through his set, it was like I couldn't even fucking walk anywhere. It was completely full, and there was still like three more people to play and myself and stuff. So yeah, God, it felt really special. It was also really nice for that record as well, because that record was pretty DIY, and I was working on it till a couple of days before it came out, and I obviously mixed and mastered it myself. We had no money or anything. We lost stupid amounts of money on it, but because it wasn't playlisted and it wasn't this real professional thing, it didn't really stream very well. But people did like it. There was like a lot of love for it and stuff, I guess, or it seemed like it. People were like complimenting me about it on the street and stuff, but it wasn't like I wasn't seeing loads from it. And then like just it all together, and I was like, fuck, there's so many people here. I can't even like comprehend this. And like my family, all my family who were at the festival were like calling me, being like, I can't get in,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like, it's fucking mad. So I don't know, it was a nice thing, because I guess it was like, I mean, it's so hard to know, because you just kind of look at the streaming numbers and you're like, oh, this is shite. But I was like, wow, like this is a real kind of thing and moment and stuff. And I think as well, for like a lot of us, yeah, I mean, I definitely felt for a while that like loads of people knowing my music and stuff was just true association with the likes of Curtisy and stuff. And like it was nice that we all just had like these fucking massive crowds and stuff, and then he came up at the end, and it was like really good crack and stuff, and loads of and yeah, it was all just pals. And my mate Alice, who's like we've shared the same music taste for years, she DJ'd for some of the boys, and like it was real cute. Like anyway,
Great.
yeah.
Not to get into like the financials and stuff like that,
Mm.
but I thought the mix. So we're talking about the Irish Hash Mafia mixtape released just before summer 2024.
Mm.
Like you say that it lost loads of money, but like I don't think there was a physical release or anything, was there?
No, it's more we ran a show in the Button Factory, which is actually amazing. But I mean, I guess compare. I mean, I guess it's big pay at the time. I just had no money, so it felt like a really big thing.
Oh,
But
okay,
like,
yeah.
I think as far as like these kind of losses go, we probably only lost maybe 700 quid or 800 quid or something. But it was a lot of money to me at the time. I just moved
Yeah.
home from
Jeez,
living.
that's loads of money, yeah.
So that was it really. But the show was amazing. There was actually loads of people there. It was just kind of like expensive to do those things, and we brought Tony Montana over, which I'm so glad we did because he's just the most amazing artist in the world. He's on that Nourished by Time album, which I think is probably the best album to come out this year. He's the only feature on it as well. Just he's absolutely brilliant, and so yeah, stuff like that was just kind of it was just kind of costly, and the venue and stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
You say that it's a love letter to the DIY sound and ethos of 90s Southern hip hop, as well as a time capsule of the left field DIY sounds being explored by the Irish underground. Myself and a lot of artists here are starting to get caught up in the cogs of the music industry, and I think it's important to put out this mixtape as an archive of the free spirited sounds we've been exploring together over the past 2 or 3 years. Does it feel like a kind of a scene? I mean, I talked with Curtisy a couple of months ago and I was asking him this and he was talking about kind of various rappers he knows, but maybe give me an over a look over this scene that you're talking about, maybe in the Irish Hash Mafia scene. Maybe it's even developed further in the past like 18 months or so since that mixtape
Yeah,
came
yeah,
out.
yeah. Well, it's honestly we were all just kind of friends, and it was all kind of a community buzz. Like I knew Kareem for years, you know what I mean? Our exes are friends with each other and we kind of just knew of each other and then started making music together. And then like through Kareem, I think Kareem is Ahmed With Love. Through Kareem I met like Curtisy, and then through Curtisy I met ED Artist. Through those guys then I met loads and loads of people. I met Smokey through friends and stuff. I mean, I think as with any scene, it's actually just a lot of people just doing something and they're all friends. And yeah, I guess because me and Ethan, who's Julie Louis Knifus, are involved, they've all kind of variously gotten involved in a lot of pretty weird electronic music and stuff. And I guess nowadays as well, we're trying to put on. Well, I mean, not that it's like we're in any sort of kind of position of power like that, we're key holders or anything, but we're just trying to like make loads of music with and like do shows with like loads of the younger guys who are doing stuff. The likes of Euroworld, like Year 13 and SV Hymns. SV Hymns is on my new album as well, but he's under a different name. He's under the name Celine Starling. And then like people like, I know, like, I mean, Death Ricky's way bigger than any of us now, but Gav was really big on Death Ricky straight away. And people like C2 and Betty Minaj and Andy the Second and stuff, like, just we're all so obsessed with them. And so we're just trying to kind of do loads of stuff with them and just also just be like, hey, we're doing these things just because we enjoy it. I mean, we're not like the most career focused people out there and stuff. So
Well, I don't know. I mean, like you're saying, it's good. It's important to mark this moment in time.
mm,
Back before summer last year, and
yeah,
obviously you guys have all pushed on in various different directions too. So I don't
yeah.
know about saying like you're not too career focused. Like,
Well, I
what do
guess
you
I
mean
guess
not
maybe
too career focused?
I guess I mean like I have like I guess in terms of my own art and stuff like that, I like commit to it like very fully and stuff like that. But in terms of career focus, I'm not really seeking any money, you know. And I would say that that's probably true of a lot of people because I think when you're getting paid a lot in the art world, you're usually like art washing some really evil people. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's not. Sorry, I wholly and fully commit to like having my art come out the best way possible and stuff, you know. But yeah, I'm not really seeking out a whole lot of money, and I'd say that's the same of Ahmed With Love and Curtisy and all those guys as well. Is that they're just trying to make something really good and trying to do it in the right way and stuff.
The first track you've got on your Bandcamp page is from 2018. Is that kind of when things start for you? Would you be making music much before then?
Yeah, yeah, loads before then, but I think that's maybe as uh, like I could kind of be making music since I was 11, but properly since I was 16. So yeah, in 2018 I would have been 19, 18, 19. But yeah, I think I just left that one there because I was like, oh, that sounds alright. I think people will think I've been like class at this for years. It's like, oh, the first song you put out is so good, and it's like, no, I had like 400 songs out before that.
Well,
But,
I like that you've left like all that early stuff up on it. It does kind of show maybe the journey you've been on. Like so many people just take their music, it can be fleeting and stuff like that,
mm,
blink and you miss it. So I don't know, I
yeah.
think it's good to leave stuff back then.
Yeah, 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 I'd agree. I think also part of it was like, one thing was just like, I was like, I kind of want to leave the shitty music up there in case my music ever does well, so then people kind of just see that I was kind of not that good before. But also as like, my heart was kind of always in, especially when I was starting to make music and stuff, was always in far more like, dramatic and kind of out there and weirder, sounds than, doing like beats for people or whatever. Especially at the moment, like a lot of people are asking to make music with me, but generally, they haven't really listened to any of my music. They usually just have heard that Kojak tune. I think I kind of leave it there, leave up some of that older stuff as well, so that if someone does go back to it, they're like, "Oh, he's actually fucking real weird." And
It's kind of more maybe some of those earlier tracks. I mean, still some of the music you're making is kind of more sound designy, kind of
yeah,
atmospheric kind of stuff. Is that kind of what you had in mind when you were starting out? Did you know what kind of music you'd end up making?
not really. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think I ever really know what I'm
Yeah,
making at all. To be
even
honest
still
with you.
now.
Even still now, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, sometimes I'm kind of able to kind of preconceive. I think when like when I was 16, 17, 18, like when I was properly starting to make music, I was just like really lonely, and and really liked this like music that was like super heavy and super cathartic. And I think like me kind of making music at the time was actually just trying to emulate that kind of stuff, and was just kind of trying to reach that point of like, emotional, I don't know, yeah, just reach that emotional point, I guess. Again, I was listening to loads of like Tim Hecker, and like a lot of like Mick Levy, and yeah, and then some of that kind of weirder like classical music stuff we were talking about earlier, like Krista Penderecki and stuff. So I don't know, yeah, I was just trying to make like this really really intense music, but purely for personal reasons, like purely just because I wanted to kind of like, exercise some demons or something, I don't know. So yeah, that's where it came from. It was kind of an obsession thing, because at that time I was actually really like, I mean, I was into all that kind of weirder music, but I was also like just listening to loads of like Future and Young Thug and stuff. Like I was kind of had some kind of like, lofty kind of avant-garde goals or whatever at the time. But yeah, yeah.
So, how do you kind of veer into that track of making beats for rappers? I mean, what happens that you meet all of these guys? Is it like you're hanging out, you're introduced to people, or
When I was about 18, I was dating someone, and she was like, "Can I hear some of your music?" And I sent it to her, and she was like, "This is real weird." And I got really insecure and I started making beats and stuff, like trying to like trying to, I don't know, yeah, trying to send beats out to people. And so yeah, I was sending beats to loads of people abroad for years. So I actually like there's a bunch of rappers that I worked with before working with the boys in Dublin or whatever. So like I made music with people like Lord Apex and with Mavi and with like Mavi at the time was just like a SoundCloud rapper. Obviously, he's fucking huge now. And like Ankle John was another guy I worked with. He kind of works a lot with like Wiki and some of the New York people. But so yeah, I was kind of sending beats out to them and working with them a bit, and just be people on SoundCloud. But mostly just was focusing on just making my own kind of weirder stuff. And then around lockdown time, I made a record just with a load of friends of mine, called I Like You and stuff. I think that was like, trying to just make songs with people and just trying to see what their buzz was. Like it all came together pretty quickly and stuff, and there's some kind of drill music on there and a few other bits. And towards the end of lockdown is when I met like Curtisy and started hanging out with all those guys, and we all just got along really well, straight away. And me and Pippa started making loads of music together, and it just became this real social thing. So I spent like whatever, probably a year and a half straight just making beats for people just because we'd be hanging out all day, and it was really lovely. And then I spent probably all of 2023 trying to produce for other people and trying to become like a producer kind of guy, and it was pretty miserable, and I wasn't enjoying it. And then just kind of towards the end of that year, kind of went back to making solo stuff. But yeah, so I kind of just I fell into it socially, I'd say, more than anything. But yeah.
loads to unpack there. First of all, sending beats to some of those guys that you mentioned just like over the internet. Were they using what you were sending, or were they like giving you feedback and stuff like that? How did
No,
that
they were
work?
using it. Well, Mavi was Mavi was a funny one because I sent him a load of beats and he was like, "Oh my God, this is fire! Send me your phone number." And then because I was an idiot, I was just like, oh, I live in Ireland. And I sent him my phone number. I was like, but don't call me. And just like, obviously, he never got onto me. It's so fucking stupid. And then, so yeah, Uncle John had recorded like 5 songs with me and he wanted to put out a collab tape. But basically, I didn't know how to mix music at the time. I was using the light version of Ableton at the time, so I couldn't. There wasn't like EQs or anything, and I didn't know how to like. I also just didn't understand how mixing songs work, so like they were just like stupidly fucking loud, and were like ripping the arse off any speakers that they were played on. But they were like good beats. Like I've given them to people since then and stuff. But like it's anyway. That never ended up becoming the thing because he was just like these are like. He was like, I can't even mix my voice over these, and then Lord Apex is still holding on to one, so that one will come out eventually. He says he has an electronic record and he'll put it out eventually. But like he said that when I saw him in like 2021 or something, or 2022 when he played in Dublin. He said that he was using it for that. Like he knew me by name anyway, which is great. But God knows if that's coming out.
Tell me about the music as a social thing, because you think of a bedroom, I don't know, would you have said that you're a bedroom producer, but maybe when you first started making the music, or a DIY producer, I'm guessing it is like very much just yourself, a laptop, Ableton in a room together. How does it become a social thing? Is it like you're in the studio chatting to these rappers about what they want to making music for them and it's collaborative?
Never that, honestly, because
Oh,
because I can't do that. I think that was a kind of a big thing when I was like trying to be a kind of a producer for hire type, was that I was trying to kind of make stuff that people wanted to hear, and then I just didn't find what people wanted to hear that interesting, and it was kind of just finding the whole thing a bit miserable. But anyway, so like I was just basically like making a load of random music and just showing it to people, and I think honestly the relationships that have lasted have been mostly due to our friendship, but also because I mean, all of the relationships I have with everyone is pretty grand. But like the relationships where I've worked with people loads, like Pippa Maloney or Curtisy or Ahmed With Love, is because we've hung out with each other loads, or because they're just used to making music with me. They're kind of just down for whatever usually. So like the tune of my album that Curtisy and Ahmed are Love are on is like, it's not a beat that you'd really send to someone, you know what I mean? But they were like, they kind of know me, and we have like a kind of similar sense of humor, and they know what my art's like and stuff. So they were like, oh, we'll try to say it. And like, they're both pretty into it. And I was just showing them whatever, and whatever came out is what came out. Like me and Curtis had this tune from years ago called Veggies, which is like, I mean, recently he's been making some music like this, but it's like really glitchy and experimental kind of piece of electronic music, and we're both like rapping these really silly lyrics about like, eating veggies and being big and strong and stuff. And then it's just like this really chaotic instrumental and crazy sound design and stuff, and that just came because we've just been mates for ages and stuff, and I was able to kind of bring him onto my buzz and then do his buzz sometimes. But yeah, yeah. Usually I just kind of have what I have, and we'll just figure it out from there. But they're into it, so it's good. But yeah.
tell me about how you first met Courtesy.
Me and Kareem, Ahmed With Love, had both been texting him separately. Me and Kareem had only hung out maybe once before, but we got along really well. Me and him are kind of the same person, I think, in a lot of ways. We just have like real similar taste and everything, and kind of real nerdy. But anyway, me and him drove out to Gav's, and we were having the best time in the car. And then we got to Gav's house, and we were all like super nervous. What happened? Yeah, we were sitting there, and I guess we were smoking loads of weed. I don't really smoke that much weed, and I was kind of getting real paro. And then I was like. Then I guess, yeah, we were talking about music that we liked and stuff, and I was feeling really nervous. And then like we were talking about we all really loved the kind of like really kind of wild super kind of free rhythm like Michigan rap that was like coming out at the time, like people like RMC Mike and YNJ and stuff. It's these boys just like they freestyle one line at a time, and there's no like kind of overall strong song structure, and all the songs are more or less the same speed. It's like it's real chaotic, but it's quite funny. It's definitely like some of the funniest rap music you'll ever hear. But anyway, we were kind of obsessing over that, and then Kareem was like, "Oh, we should just make something like that right now." And so like I'd never done this for someone ever. I made a beat like on the spot in front of them, and I was so nervous. I thought it was the worst thing ever. And then they rapped on it, and then I was like, "This sounds like total shit." And then Gav rapped on it at like Courtesy, and I was like, "This sounds like total shit." I was like, "Why have I done this? Like I've just made them do something embarrassing. They're doing this because they feel guilty about me having just made this beat for them and stuff." And then when Gav finished his verse, Kareem was like, "Oh my god, this is the fucking best thing ever." And he was like, he like called his friend and was playing it for his friend and stuff. And that was Man the Mission. And then like after whatever, once Kareem was putting down his verse, I was like, this is the fucking best tune ever. I love this.
So you didn't change the beat or anything like that. You just like came around to it almost.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I didn't really
Wow.
do anything to it. I was like, the beat is just like, it was just like a hodgepodge of like samples of like house music that I liked and like loads of marching drum stuff that I was really into from like Brazil and like that I was just listening to at the time. I don't know, yeah, like it kind of doesn't really make any sense and like yeah, so yeah, I didn't really didn't change anything afterwards. I guess we were just so into it as well. I couldn't really bring myself to change anything, but I probably, in retrospect, I probably would have done something different.
It's good when
But
these
yeah,
things happen like that, you know, kind of spur of the
yeah,
moment. So Men on the Mission is like the first track, first day that
first
you
track.
met Courtesy?
First day, yeah, and
Holy
like made it
moly.
within like an hour of meeting each other, and like yeah, and then
Wow.
we made three other tracks that night that are all pretty fire. One of them, Courtesy still plays in every set of his. It's got an amazing Ahmed With Love verse as well. But yeah, we made like a full EP that day, more or less. But yeah, Man the Mission is the only one to come out so far. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
You obviously worked with him on the debut album, What Was the Question? Nominated for the Choice Prize earlier this year, came out last
yeah.
year. Tell me about working on that album. How does it feel looking back on it?
Yeah. I wasn't like as involved as other people in it, but the basically we were all egging him on to like make an album for years. He was doing a lot of features for people, and we were like, you know, you're so amazing. You need to put something together. And then I think it was around like April of like 2023 or something. I was like, okay, I sent him this big message. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like come over to your house. And we're gonna kind of assemble an album. I was like, I don't even want to be on it, you know what I mean? I just want to do this as like your friend, you know what I mean? And so anyway, then we sat down together and we kind of started assembling some bits, and a couple of tunes didn't work out. And me and Gav had so much music together that I guess when songs weren't working out, he was just kind of picking one for me just because it was kind of easier. Or maybe it wasn't, I don't know. I mean, I guess he did like those songs. I definitely really like those songs anyway. You know, I think there's some of our best stuff together. But anyway, yeah, and then like as the year went on, I mean, it was actually real hard. We were both just like real busy, so you know, we are kind of coming to and from it. You know, throughout the end of 2023, I'd say. So I was just listening to new drafts of it and stuff, and then I was meeting up with him and Killian and kind of giving them notes and stuff. Killian was who mixed it, and he mixes and masters quite a lot of all of our kind of crew stuff. He mastered Old Earth and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I was just there. I wouldn't say I made any like any sort of serious kind of. There was one maybe creative call I made about a certain song that I thought sounded like a Kojak song, and and it was a really good song. But I was like, I remember I don't know if this is the reason why I took it off, but I just remember being like, if this comes out, you know, people will just compare you to Kojak as opposed to you being you or whatever, you know. Hopefully that song still comes out though because it's really good. It's with Owen and Ahmed With Love, but that was kind of the extent of my involvement. I was just kind of there for a lot of it, and I was just trying to give it lending an ear. But yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, all that music that we made for it came from us just like hanging out mostly in like 2021. Schmiracle and Don't Listen, they were definitely from 2021, and then Unclaimed Land was one that we made. We were all pretty like we were all going through like a load of like personal trouble at the time, I remember, and it was really late at night, and it was just like there was no lights on even in the studio, and we were just kind of just smoking. And yeah, the boys kind of freestyled that whole song. I think it's the most beautiful song ever. We're potentially about to start doing a radio show here, and it's named after that song because that song is so special to me. The closing tune on his album. But yeah, that was probably I think that was probably the most recent one on that album, and that was I should say that was 2023 maybe. But yeah, something like that.
And Ahmed With Love, you've mentioned him a couple of times. Do you make music with him? Do you know what he's up to lately? I mean, he put out a great mixtape last year called Comma Full Stop. I don't know, has
Yeah,
he been
it's
doing
really
much
good.
lately?
Yeah, he's got oh my god, he's got so much stuff. I actually think the stuff that he's released this year has gone really under the radar. I think he's dropped like a couple of like he's dropped like two EPs, I want to say, and like they're both. And I think there's another one coming out before the end of the year. But the two EPs are like so fucking good. Like they're so solid. Like unbelievable rapping from him. Like really solid production, great features. Like he's on it. They've really flown under the radar. I'm kind of surprised that more people don't know about them. Me and him kind of have like a collab tape. We were just talking about it the other day. So I mean, I guess they'll probably come out at some stage. It's pretty silly and like it's definitely like pretty weird and out there. There's a tune with me and him and Julie Louis Knifest where it's this kind of like rip to piss like British kind of punk song, and like the two of them are kind of rap singing in like British accents about like how much they love Stella and like the British flag and like Britpop and stuff. It's like super fucking brain dead, and the song is like fucking nuts. Like it goes in really cool weird directions. But anyway, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, he's got loads on the way. I know. I think him and Knifest potentially have something on the way together. And what I've heard of it so far is fantastic. I produced it. I produced a little bit of it as well. That's kind of the extent of the production work I've really done recently. But yeah, I mean, he's working on some really cool stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Look forward to hearing more from him. Let's talk about Rory Sweeney, the solo artist. I mean, like, is it hard to kind of focus on your own stuff when you are collaborating with so many people? I mean, you put out your debut album, I think it's your debut album anyway, Trash Catalog, 2 years ago. Now
For
you've
years
got
though.
Old Earth 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 2022.
I know.
And now
Yeah.
you've got the new album, Old Earth, coming out tomorrow as we're talking. Is it hard to actually focus on what you yourself want out of this music?
It definitely was for years. I mean, I also didn't really know what I wanted. You know what I mean? I think like I knew that I kind of wasn't entirely satisfied with the whole music crack a couple of years ago, and
In
I didn't
terms of
know.
the industry?
Yeah, or just like what I was making, and I just didn't really like. I don't know, I didn't know how I felt, and I didn't really like a lot of it. But then like it yeah. I think there's one moment that's just kind of sticking out in my head, but about like 2.5 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, I remember I was like, oh, I just need a manager. I'll just fix everything, because I just wasn't like happy with anything, and I felt like things weren't working out. And someone, Lawrence Kapinga from Negro Impacto, was like, oh, David Connaughton from Foggy Notions manages people. And so I reached out to David Connaughton, and he met me for coffee, and he was like, first off, I can't take you on. Like, I can't take anyone on. I'm the busiest man in the world. But he was like, I listened to all your music and I thought it was really interesting. And I'd sent him a big playlist of just stuff I'd been working on recently, and all the stuff that I really enjoyed making. He was like, that stuff is like really, is like really interesting, the stuff that's a bit more out there and a bit weirder. And then he was like, I'm going to book you for Haunted Dancehall. I think they had Arts Council funding as well. So it was like a pretty nice feat. And like I was able to bring in kind of lots of collaborators and visual artists and stuff. And so I just spent like 3 or 4 months straight, I think from like maybe July of 2023 onwards, just making music that I wanted to make and just trying to figure out what like my kind of, I guess like, I don't know what a solo thing would look like for me. And I just had the best fucking crack ever. And so like I'd say more or less since then I haven't really done any production work for anyone. Like I've done little bits, you know what I mean? I still meet up with the lads, and I still meet up with Pippa and Aoife and, a few others from time to time. But actually I'd say, like 90% if not more of the music I make nowadays, I just make for myself just because I enjoyed that process so much. And yeah, I was just like, I enjoy making the music way more than I enjoy, I don't know, like the stuff that comes with music doing really well. So, I mean, nowadays I'm actually finding it pretty hard to work on other people's music, which is kind of bad because I'm like, like I'm getting definitely some good opportunities. Although, like some stuff, like I've been working on Gemma Dunleavy's album, and
Ooh.
that's been really fun. And she's kind of given me more or less kind of free creative license to do whatever I want. And I've been doing some really fucking wild stuff with that, and she's been into it. I think we haven't met up yet, but at least she seems like she was saying she was enjoying it over emails and stuff. And I'm working on
Wow.
costumes.
So all.
As
Oh,
like,
okay. So all of that is just like remote. Working on like Gemma's album.
yeah, it was all remote. Well, we met up once, and we just kind of, but like we just bashed out a lot of song sketches. But I think with that, she was just trying to kind of just see what like the vibes were like, I guess, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
the song sketches, I thought they were pretty cool, but I don't think they'll ever really go anywhere. I don't think she'll revisit them, but I thought they were real cool, and we were just kind of bashing out random things. But yeah, then she sent me a song that she had made for her album. She was like, oh, I don't know if this works. It was this like really fast kind of clubby thing, and then I kind of turned it into this like do you ever hear of like this is such a wanky term, but it's kind of also a silly term. It's like avant trance. It's like trance music, but it has like no drums, and it's super like cinematic and very intense. It's like the kind of music that like people like Evian Christ or Lorenzo Senni or like, yeah, it's basically like drumless trance music. It's very intense and very poppy and very like, head fucky. But I kind of just took it in that direction and made the song way longer and a bit more atmospheric, and I restructured a lot of it. And yeah, anyway, she seems to be into it. But I really
Cool.
like it anyway. Yeah, some of my favorite things I've made.
Oh my
But
God, I've
yeah,
been waiting for a debut album from Gemma Dunleavy for years and years and
oh my
years. I
God,
can't wait for it to come out.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't even be talking about it. I don't know if
Full
she's like
stop, full
keeping
stop, full
tight
stop.
lipped. But anyway, I like all I'll say is that like it's what she played me when we met up the first time was unbelievable. It's like the best thing I've heard from any Irish artist. Like it's so fucking out there and wild. Like it's I don't know. The only thing I can really compare it to is some of it kind of sounded like some of Rainy Miller stuff, but honestly, that's kind of that doesn't even do it justice. It's like I think it's so good and so cool. And I actually recently heard a different song from the album that a friend of mine produced it, and it's fucking amazing. Anyway, I don't know. I like yeah. I all I can say is that it's like it's 10 out of 10. And she was like, "Oh, these songs aren't finished," and I was like, "What are you fucking talking about? These are fucking unbelievable. They sound mixed and mastered. Like, what are you talking about?" So yeah, I don't know. It's serious. It's serious.
Cool. Old Earth, you say that it's kind of underpinned by this idea of stone tape theory, which
Yeah.
posits that ghosts, hauntings, and supernatural phenomena are the results of events being imprinted into the land. Tell me about this idea. How did you come across it? What does it mean to you? Like, how does it inform the album?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I first came across it because I'm a real obsessive with. There's loads of these ghost movies that the BBC made in the 70s. Most of them were called Ghost Tales for Christmas, and they were directed by this guy called Lawrence Gordon Clark. But anyway, they're just really good. And anyway, one of them was the stone tapes, and it was real famous because it kind of popularized this pseudoscientific theory called stone tape theory. And so that's how I first came across it. And yeah, I guess the stone tape theory thing was in the back of my mind for years. I watched that when I was probably 15. I really loved it. And yeah, a bunch of those like kind of ghost stories from around that time. They're really beautiful and kind of paint like they're really gorgeously shot, and they're very kind of poetic and slow and stuff. But yeah, they also have these I don't know amazing soundtracks and these really kind of weird and kind of uncanny moments that I can't really put my finger on and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, there was that, and then I think so that was kind of in the back of my head, and then yeah, I also when I guess when I was like 18, 19, I started reading loads of Mark Fisher. He died around that time, and I started reading loads of Mark Fisher and loads of stuff about I guess hauntology and a lot of Simon Reynolds stuff as well about hauntology. And Mark Fisher, yeah, I was reading an essay of Mark Fisher's not too long ago where he was talking about that movie, The Stone Tape Theory, and he was using it as a kind of comparison or as like a demonstration of like hauntological ideas, I guess. Yeah, I guess in my head I was thinking a lot about like how kind of like time and place were kind of disappearing with like the internet, and I was thinking a lot about these kind of non-places that have kind of popped up in my lifetime, you know what I mean? Where in Ireland, where you can't really think of where they are or what, or what was there before, they just kind of look like anywhere. All of it kind of happening with like really kind of rapidly accelerating capitalism and stuff. And I mean, it's probably too long to divulge into now, but like, definitely have like seen some fairies and like seen some crazy shit in my life. I definitely believe in like the other world and, like all that kind of crack. I was just thinking a lot about like land and like its relationship with like memory, and then also like these kind of weird I guess one thing with the internet is it kind of like really fries your kind of sense of time in terms of like how you're perceiving like information and stuff. And so that was something that I kind of consciously was trying to kind of play with, like especially on songs like Medieval Times or whatever, where you're like you have like a harpsichord medieval kind of melody, and then like 80s kind of slow drums that kind of sound like some of the kind of weaker Beach Boys stuff, and then boys rapping over it and freestyling a bit, like smoking blunts and and driving cars and shit. And I was just I guess trying to like fuck with people's heads in that kind of way or something. But yeah.
How do you decide on like the people that you want on this album? I mean, like some of the features. I mean, we talk about Curtisy and Ahmed With Love. You have Roche and Saoirse Miller on the first track. You've got Risteárd Ó, hAodha, probably ruining that name. I'm sorry. You've got
Yeah.
Ushmush, Roo Honeychild as well. How do you decide who you want to make music with or who you want to sing on the tracks? And do you talk to them about this idea that you have underpinning the album?
No, well, just on the talking about the idea underpinning the album, I think that, and then I know that a lot of people's process is like this. I think when I'm making music, there's kind of something that's there that's like, that's like lurking in like the subconscious or whatever that I can't really describe. Once a good amount of time has passed after I've made the music, you know, you can start to, I guess, like intellectualize it or whatever, you know, and start kind of realizing what you're kind of reaching for and what concepts are there. I'm not someone who, yeah, I can't really have like a concept in my head and make music, you know, a whole lot. And I also don't find a lot of that music very interesting. But I know One of Tricks by Never is very similar. I know when he just kind of makes loads of songs and then kind of figures out what he was thinking about and where they came from and stuff afterwards. So yeah. And then in terms of the collaborators, you know, all of those songs came from kind of other sessions, and I was just kind of like, there's only two people I actually sought out to work with. One was Saoirse Miller, because I just think she's amazing. I actually I've been friends with her for years as well. I know her just from like drinking on the street and stuff. We just kind of knew each other from being mates. But anyway, I think she's absolutely incredible, and I sought her out to be on that tune. And then Risteárd Ó, I knew that I wanted him on a different song that I'm cutting up from the album, so I sought him out. And he's also a friend for years, and he's in Princess as well, that amazing band Princess. He's done loads and loads of brilliant stuff. But yeah, so those are the only people I sought out. Like the Rosh songs, one of those songs came from, so the As Old as Time Itself, that came from when I was doing the Haunted Dancehall set. I just wanted to make a song that was like really terrifying to open the set. And so that was the second half of As Old as Time Itself that Rosh is on. That was what that song was. And then the other, on Entrance Places, I just got her to play on that song while working on some of her music. And that was like 2 years ago, maybe 2 and a bit years ago. And then like, I don't know, yeah, most of those people, we were just in different sessions, and I just got them to play on something or to rap on something for a second, you know. And like Edith and Ushmush or whatever, like Roo Honeychild and Ushmush, yeah, that was like, we were working on a separate thing together, and then I ended up having to cut a track, and I was like, this one really fits with the kind of vibe of the album, and I asked them if I could use it. So, you know, I wouldn't say that I'd like specifically sought a lot of people out. I think people had contributions on it, and I was kind of reworking the whole album into one kind of cohesive whole, if you know what I mean.
I was going to ask you about that track with Ushmush and Roo Honeychild. It's called Rutro. It's all in Irish. Sounds like it's kind of a hit. I don't know. Have you played it live much?
Yeah, I mean it's getting really good feedback. What's crazy is I mean it's similar to the Hash Mafia thing we were talking about earlier, but like it's like streaming fucking terribly, and like was like getting more or less no engagement on any social media platforms, and I was like, fuck. But after it came out, I got stopped like anytime I was out of my house, I got stopped more or less once an hour about that song. Just someone would walk by in the street and be like, fucking love it, Row. Or like, I was at like a party and I got stopped like, you know, at this like small DIY gig in daylight. And like, you know, 15 or 20 people kind of stopped me and were like, I fucking love Row. Like, that's so amazing. So I don't know. I mean, I can't gauge whether or not it's a hit. I thought it would be a hit, and like, but anyway, people seem to really be enjoying it. I think also like Ushmush just raps in Irish, and like, you know, his music, he just makes like reggaeton and dancehall and stuff in Irish. It's not like he's doing it for the virtue of it being in Irish. He's just like, he just is making that music that way because he likes it. And I think that people were kind of, at least some people were kind of into the fact that it was like a song that was in Irish that was kind of weird. Sometimes when I hear music in Irish, I feel like people are trying really hard to make it likable as like a way of like kind of spreading the language or something. Whereas like we were just kind of doing what we would do normally, you know. Whether or not that's good is kind of a different thing, but I think people appreciated that anyway.
When you talk about streaming and maybe it not doing well on streaming, what are you talking about? Because you're not releasing the album on Spotify. I presume you're not talking about Spotify in terms of streaming. You're just talking about Bandcamp or something.
Talking about like Apple Music and Tidal and
it's on all of those. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then also Bandcamp and stuff as well. But yeah, it's hard to gauge. And then also YouTube. I mean, really, YouTube was the thing I was kind of looking for the most engagement on, because it's got a really good music video. Like Dermot's amazing, but yeah, but this is the thing. I actually just can't tell. I think this is what's making it more scary. I mean, maybe it's more exciting as well. But it's like I can't tell if I'm like, if people just don't fuck with me anymore, or if people do, and it's just like this kind of, you know, people are less visibly doing things because of social media and because I'm not on Spotify anymore, you know. Like the first single from the album came out in Spotify, and that was before all the investment and all the military stuff. That song did pretty well, you know. And like, when I noticed when people were sharing that song, they were sharing Spotify links pretty much always. So, you know, so it's kind of hard to tell. Another thing I was just thinking about on the streaming thing as well is I went to see Billy Woods like about 2-3 weeks ago.
Class, yeah.
Oh, I fucking love Billy Woods. He's the best rapper to ever live. The best rapper of all time is a Marxist as well. I want people to know that, you know. Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is left wing. But anyway, you know, like I have songs with way more streams than Billy Woods, and I wouldn't be able to sell at a show like that. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, that's like, you know, so this whole streaming thing is kind of bullshit. It's annoying because like promoters and festivals and stuff look at like your kind of Spotify monthly listeners and make decisions on whether to book you based on shit like that. You know, the reality is that like people who are engaged music listeners maybe aren't using those platforms and aren't the most like chronically online and stuff, and so it's just weird. It's very hard to tell whether things are doing well or not. Anyway, we'll see tomorrow. Anyway, you know, if I can sell a load of records tomorrow, I think that would be a good sign.
But I'm guessing it is more rewarding though to like be stopped at a party or on the
Totally.
street or something like that, and someone saying love that track, love your music, rather than like just watching the streaming number just go up, like
Totally, yeah,
even by
yeah,
one
yeah,
or two.
yeah. That's way more meaningful. I mean, not that that's why I do it, but like, it definitely is like is nicer. I think, yeah, like also like when you actually look at the engagement on Spotify and on Instagram, like you're talking about like 90% of people not listening to more than 1 second of it, not watching more than 1 second of it. Like Entrance Place is the last tune I put out on Spotify. And most people didn't like. I think 90% of people didn't listen to more than 3 seconds of it. It's a song I spent 2 years on. Like it's 6 minutes long. Like how can you know if it's like the first 3 seconds of that song is like wind noise? It's like how can you know whether or not you like a song in 3 fucking seconds? You know what I mean? Like part of me is also like maybe it's just like is annoyance or something where I'm like no, I actually want to break the like attention economy thing a little bit, or like not feed into that in a way, by like making longer songs. Like Lankum did it. I was like, if Lankum can do it, like I'm at least gonna try, like I mean they also made the fucking best album ever, so I mean it's different. I don't know, like, and even there, like I was just looking at, we put up a video, this amazing video that Dermot made that's kind of like a mega mix of all the tunes from the album. The video is 2.5 minutes long, and the 90% of people, no, not 85% of people watched only the first second of it. And then of the 15% who were left who watched it, the average watch time was 8 seconds. And it's like, you're just breaking your back trying to make something, and it's like people are just like, ugh. So I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I think it's definitely a good thing that it's off Spotify, because I think if people are like have to put in more effort to listen to it, they'll probably listen to it more attentively or something. Like I'm totally fine with people pirating my music and people pirating it off like Soulseeker or like YouTube Downloader or whatever the fuck, because it means that they'll actually listen to it. Whereas like, people who are listening to shit on Spotify aren't listening to it. And the numbers lie. So I don't know. Yeah.
Hopefully people will buy the record
Mm.
as well. But tell me about, like, I presume that you've already got like a million other things in the works. Are you already looking to the next project, the project after that as well?
Honestly, no. I mean, this has
Oh,
consumed like all of my time for a couple of years now. At least 2 years anyway. So, no, at least a year. It's kind of consumed all of my time. I think like I've been thinking about what a next record might look like, but like I don't really know. I think for practical reasons, it's probably a good idea to not get into loads of debt again. It's funny because I think like at times throughout this I've been like I've been really frustrated by some of the release process of it, but I'm also like really excited by it. And the reason why I'm both frustrated and excited by it is because it's really, really, really risky. And I think the next thing would probably have to be kind of less risky. And I think also like, I mean, the only stuff that I've really had the mental capacity to make has just been small kind of bits of dance music. So I think, I don't know. I mean, I say things like this, and I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll probably be a dance record because I'll need to pay people back and get out of debt and stuff. So, but yeah, yeah. Right now, there's only like a couple of like tiny things made. There's really no next record in mind. I mean, I'd say there's maybe half of Pip Maloney's next record made, and I guess when this is out for a couple of months, I'll probably meet up with her in December, and we might work on some new music, working some more music for that. But yeah, right now, honestly, I'm like not looking to release anything for a good while. And then when I do, like, yeah, if I release dance music, I think I'm gonna, like it'll be kind of an easy enough thing to sell because I've been DJing for years, and I know loads of DJs, and also you can tour real cheaply if you're DJing, and I really enjoy DJing as well. So like, I don't know. I think that would probably be the next thing, but this wouldn't be for like maybe a year and a half or something. So, yeah, I'm like, I'm planning to just kind of like to just give this record as much as I can for a while, and then maybe go off and write something else for a bit. And I want people to just listen to this as well. So I'm kind of not super pushed to kind of release something new, after.
Yeah, well, listen, congrats on the record. It's called Old Earth. Best of luck with it. Best of luck with all of the other stuff that you're involved with as well. And thanks for the chats.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Alan. That's very sweet.